Good evening, madam. I am the truancy police. Are these your children?
Yes, what are you doing with my children? They're not truant. They're homeschooled.
They're not on the list.
What list?
This list.
I decided to homeschool my kids because of COVID.
Did you register your children?
Register?
Has this ever happened to you?
Don't let this happen to you. Watch this video for tips on how to homeschool legally. But first, let's meet the kids. Hey everybody, so I am Becky and I have been homeschooling for 19 years. So I'm here to help you figure out how you're going to go about withdrawing your kids from school and enrolling them in homeschool. You cannot just say, okay, I'm going to homeschool and expect that that's going to be enough. You will end up with, I don't think the truancy people show up at your door, but I think they will send you a letter and they will say, where are your children? So before we get into that, make sure to subscribe if you're so inclined, drop me a comment if you want some more of this content, and let me know what you want to see. I'm going to give you 3 easy steps to get started on your homeschooling journey, and we will elaborate on these. Number 1, you're going to check your homeschool laws. Number 2, you're going to withdraw your children from school. And number 3, you are going to enroll your children in homeschooling. So let's talk about checking your homeschool laws. The easiest way to do that, it's going to be different for every state, what the laws are. So the easiest way to do that is to go to a website called HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association.com, and you're going to look up your state's laws. That is the most accurate source of your state's laws. All right, so please use that website. I will link it in the description down below, but that's gonna make sure that you get the absolute correct information that you need. So the second step is going to be withdrawing your children from school. Now, if your children have been enrolled in school and for whatever reason you have now decided that you are going to be homeschooling your children, you have to send them a letter and say that you are going to be withdrawing them from school. Now, I know, disclaimer, some school districts are currently doing things different because of the volume of homeschoolers right now. They've changed things up a little bit. I personally would still follow the laws of my state, and I would do exactly what it says. Even if your state says, because of COVID, just go ahead and notify the school district that you're going to be homeschooling. I personally, to cover my bases, would look and see what the original homeschool laws were and how I needed to notify the school district that I would be withdrawing and homeschooling my children. So to withdraw your children is very simple. You're going to send a letter to the superintendent, usually, and you're going to just state, dear so-and-so, this letter is to inform you that I will be withdrawing my children, names, ages, full names, first and last, from your school effective, and then give a date, all right? Now, you can use your withdrawal letter and your letter of intent can be the same letter. I think that I've never sent my kids to school, so I've never had to withdraw them, but I think that I would be tempted to do 2 separate letters. That's gonna be totally up to you. I would check your laws and make sure, see if it needs to be 2 letters or just 1, and go from there. The important thing to remember about withdrawing your children from school, when you write that letter, you need to word it. This letter is to inform you. This letter is not a request. You have every right to homeschool your children. You are protected by law to homeschool your children. You do not need the state's permission to homeschool your children. You are not requesting that they withdraw your children. You are informing them that you will be taking charge of your children's education from now on. You are the ones who are going to be in charge. All right, so it's really important that you have like that kind of mindset. You need to understand that This is your right, your responsibility to homeschool your children how you see fit, and the state has no say. They cannot say, oh no, unfortunately, we've already withdrawn our number of kids from school this year, so your child's gonna have to stay enrolled. No, they cannot do anything like that, okay? So you are not requesting, you are not asking permission, you are informing them that you will be withdrawing your children, all right? Then make sure, again, go back to your laws, because they may come back to you and they may say, oh, could you please fill out this form? We'd like some more information. Why are you withdrawing your children? That is none of their business, okay? As old timer, most homeschoolers very, very much appreciate their freedoms and their rights to homeschool. We do not like the states encroaching in our personal business, okay? So if they start asking us for information that is not required by law, we don't give it to them, because that is not their place. They are stepping on your rights. They do not need to know anything about why you're doing this. Is it because of COVID? Is it because you just want to homeschool your children? That's not their business, okay? So if they send you letters and they want more information, you can ignore it, or you can write them back and you can say, I have given you the information that you need to withdraw my students as required by law, and leave it at that. If you know what you're talking about, they will leave you alone. So the third thing that you need to be doing is sending a letter of intent to homeschool. Now, that letter is going to be almost exactly like your withdrawal letter. It is going to say, this letter is to inform you that we will be homeschooling our children. So you're going to be listing your children, their dates of birth, the school year that you're homeschooling them for, and then you're going to pay attention to what else your law requires. In some states, just a letter saying that you're going to be homeschooling is enough, and that will last for the entire length of time that you homeschool. Every state that I have lived in, I have had to send a letter of intent every single year though. So make sure you're paying attention to that, how often you have to send it. And then make sure you pay attention to whether or not you have to include any other information. I believe it was Ohio. I could be wrong, but I think that it was Ohio, where I had to include a list of curriculum that we would be using. Now, if you watched my other video, you know that curriculum is not really, we don't usually do a boxed curriculum. So when I first moved to Ohio, I was a little bit nervous, and I was thinking, how in the world am I going to come up with what we're going to be doing? I will tell you, the school district does not really care. If you say that if you have in your head, if you haven't purchased your curriculum or whatever it is that you're going to be using, if you haven't made that purchase yet, but you're thinking, I think that I want to lean this way. I want to use Matthew C. I want to use Rebecca. I want to use whatever it is that you're thinking you may want to use. Go ahead and list that. You can change it up. Even if you decide to start with that, and you start with it, you get going, it's not working for you, and you're like, oh, but I told the school district that I was going to be using this. What they want to know is that you have a plan, that you're going to be covering every subject that they deem necessary. In that list of curriculum, I would say we're going to use Matthew C for math. We're going to use Apology of Science. But then if I were to do that living here, so going by my next year, I would say I'm going to be using Apology of Science, but I'm also going to be using SeaWorld for science, okay? If you have a membership to a museum, go ahead and throw that in there. Anything extra, go ahead, so they see that you're using like a whole bunch of, if you have zoo memberships, write your zoo down for science. If you have membership to a gym, write that down for your physical education. You will be utilizing the membership to the YMCA. All right, so you can throw those things in there and they count. Now, that's it. You're going to check out your laws, let them know that you're withdrawing, and let them know that you are enrolling in homeschooling. And remember, everything that you do, you're gonna send certified letter, certified mail. You're gonna send copies, you're gonna keep copies of everything so that you have copies of everything. And you're only going to give them the bare minimum. This is your journey. This is your journey with your family. This is not the state's journey, okay? This is you. So you get to say how you homeschool your children. You get to determine that now. They don't have any right to tell you any otherwise. One thing that I did want to mention, I'm sure you all have a lot of questions about like what's going to happen at the end of the school year. What are going to be some, like, I've seen a portfolio, I've seen standardized testing, I don't know what I'm going to do. I personally, we have done both. We have done standardized testing. It wasn't a good fit for our family. We preferred the portfolios. So I just want you to tuck this little nugget into your head. If you think that you're going to go with a portfolio assessment at the end of the year, early on when you're starting your schooling, make sure that you're keeping what they want to see at the end of the year is that progress has been made. Your child has improved through the years. So you need to keep some samples of their work from the beginning of the year. You don't need to keep every single assignment that they do. That poor teacher who does your evaluation will be like, it's so much. You don't need to keep all that, okay? Do some of your stuff at the beginning. If you do a great fun experiment or some big project, include that. Include a couple of pages as you go along throughout the year. You do not need to keep everything, but they need to be able to see improvement. So you want to include stuff from the beginning of the year. So keep that in mind as you go into your homeschool journey that you want to start. You want to keep some of their school aside for that portfolio assessment at the end of the year. All right, but you don't need to keep absolutely everything. Now, there is an exception to all of this. Some states have what is called an umbrella school. My children are enrolled in an umbrella school. So what that is basically a private school for homeschoolers. So technically, by law, my children are enrolled in a private school. What that does for me is now I don't have to send my letter of intent to the school district. So I don't do any of this anymore in Florida. It's a little bit less of a hassle for me, especially having so many kids homeschooling, to not have to report my curriculum, to not have to do everything else. I just have them all enrolled in an umbrella school. So that is an exception to needing the letter of intent. If you are going to enroll your children in an umbrella school, you still have to withdraw, and you need to let them know that you're going to be enrolling them into a private school, and the name, like for us, it's called Florida Unschoolers. So we're going to enroll them in a private school, Florida Unschoolers. So that's all they need to know. So 3 things. Laws, it's going to be linked down below. Withdraw your children if they've already been enrolled in school. If not, great. You just need to do number 3, and that is to send your letter of intent. This will make sure that you don't have truancy officers. I don't think they come to your door. I don't really know. I don't know. But I do know that they send letters. So you don't want your kids to be truant when they're actually just homeschooling. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'm happy to help. You guys, I'm so excited for the amount of homeschoolers that we're going to be having this year. This homeschooling is such a blessing. So if this is your first year homeschooling, regardless of whether or not it's because of COVID or not, enjoy it. Have such a blessed year. And here come my children. But have a very, very blessed year. Enjoy your time as a homeschooler. I know it's overwhelming, but you got this. Like I said, drop me a comment if you have any questions at all. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.